Today we're going to talk about the darrow yanette diagram, and this diagram is used to illustrate what happens between the extracellular fluids and the intracellular fluids in the different physiological states of the body. So first of all, we draw the diagram. As we mentioned last time, this is the y-axis and this is the x-axis, and it has two positive ends because the x-axis represents the volume and the volume can't have a negative value. So this is positive, this is positive. The y-axis will represent the concentration of particles in the fluids, and we draw the compartments of the body fluids in their ratios: 2/3 and 1/3. 2/3 for the intracellular fluid and 1/3 for the extracellular fluid. So let's have our first example. When there's a loss of isotonic fluid, for example in hemorrhage, so what happens is, this is an isotonic fluid. So as this is the volume and it's lost from this compartment, the volume will shift to 0, so it will decrease, but no change will actually occur either in the concentration here, and accordingly this compartment will not be affected at all because this is an isotonic fluid. It will not change the effective osmolarity of the extracellular fluid compartment. So this is the only change that happens. The volume shifts towards 0 or decreases. While if we have another case like the loss of hypotonic fluid like sweat, this will, of course, the loss of the fluid will decrease the volume of the compartment, and it will raise its concentration because it's a hypotonic fluid. So when a hypotonic fluid is lost, the sodium concentration will increase. Accordingly, the intracellular fluid will decrease in volume because some of it will go to that side, and accordingly if it decreases in volume, then its concentration will increase. But the point is, if some of this fluid got on the other side, why does the volume still lower than the original volume? The point is, in this case, the amount of fluid of the intracellular compartment, when it goes to that one, is not enough to compensate the loss. So we'll have something that looks like this, with a decreased volume on both sides and an increased concentration on both sides. So this is the second case. The third case is ingestion of salts, like in salt tablets, for example. So this, of course, will raise the concentration here, and so as a reaction of this compartment, the fluid will go from this compartment to this one, and the effective salt is very high, so that the fluid that goes from this part to the other one will actually affect its volume. So here the fluid goes from this compartment to the other one with a very high concentration of salt, and it will lead to the increase in volume. It will lead to the increase in volume. So this happens in the case of addition of salts. The next cases are related to the addition of saline, normal saline, and or hypotonic solutions, this or that, and isotonic solutions and hypertonic solutions. So in case of saline or hypotonic solutions, saline will be injected in this compartment, and accordingly it will lead to the increase of its volume while the concentration of the particles is constant, so the concentration relatively will decrease. And this will lead to some of the fluid of this compartment, due to its decreased concentration, going to the other side, increasing its volume and decreasing its concentration too. So this happens due to the injection of saline or hypotonic solutions. An increase in volume here will lead to the decrease in the concentration. Accordingly, the fluid will go from this side to that side, increasing its volume and decreasing its concentration. At the isotonic case, just like the loss of an isotonic solution, it only affected the extracellular fluid compartment. It's the same here. The isotonic fluid ingestion will only affect the extracellular fluid compartment, so it will lead to an increase in the volume of the extracellular fluid compartment without doing anything to that side. For the hypertonic fluid, it will lead to something which is similar to the ingestion of salts. So it will lead to the increase in concentration in this compartment, and the fluid will move from this compartment, the intracellular fluid, it will shift from here to here, increasing the volume of this compartment. But the only difference is that case in the addition of salts is more fluid shifts from this compartment to the other one. In the hypertonic, it's lower, but it will have the same shape of the diagram, something that looks like this. And finally, we have the primary adrenal loss, and this leads to the loss of salts and particles from the fluids. So of course this will lead to the decrease in the concentration of the extracellular fluid, and so a decrease in the concentration here will, and also we have a decrease in the fluids themselves because it's an adrenal loss. So the salts are lost, the particles are lost, and some of the fluid itself is lost. So we have a decrease in volume and concentration, but the decrease in volume is not higher than the decrease in concentration. So the concentration here will have the upper hand, and it will also affect the intracellular fluid, so increasing its volume, because still at this point the concentration, the volume will be higher than the concentration, so the volume of this compartment will affect the fluid to shift from here and go there, leading to the increase in the volume and a decrease in the concentration, as we can see. So these are the different physiological cases, some examples for these cases that can be illustrated by the darrow-yanette diagram. I hope it was clear for you, and until the next time, I thank you for watching and see you.